So let's start from the beginning, from the table of content. So the report consists of 5 chapters, and today I will talk about Chapter 1, Perspective on Retirement. Marteza will address Chapter 2, Why Increase the Eligibility Age. Chapter 3, Assessing the Fairness of the Change to a Social Program, will be discussed by Sam. And finally, Chapter 4, Retirement Policy Strategies, and Chapter 5, Effects of Alternative Eligibility Ages, will be discussed by Martin. So, once upon a time, life was easier for retirement actuaries. The divisions between life stages, especially between work and family and retirement, were really clearly defined. The moment you stop working, you forget about your job, you start to live on your personal savings, draw retirement income if you're lucky to have one, probably move with your kids. So it was quite easy policy decision and quite easy to do actuarial valuations. Over the last few decades, the situation was changing quite dramatically. The boundaries between life stages became blurred. The life stages overlap, and the length of these life stages is changing. And in many ways, these patterns depend on the social and economic environments of the particular society, or even probably social and economic conditions of a particular individual. And as you see, like here, I have a little reality of wishful thinking, and in some way, the wishful thinking is, sorry, what did I do? Okay, is this yellow area at the bottom of the slide where we put the new flexible lifestyle, where this time for family, leisure, community involvement, personal development will last for all your life. And if it will become true, I guess we will have much more time to do volunteer work for the IAA. So today, what we are going to discuss is how the transition from work to retirement occurs in the society and what is changing. But let me start with introducing a couple of definitions. There is a bewildering variety of definition in the literature and in the common use which pertain to the time the people retire. So for the purpose of this report and for the purpose of this presentation, we'll define eligibility age as the age which an individual is entitled to, is eligible to begin receiving full retirement benefit. The eligibility age could apply to Social Security program, or it can apply to employer-sponsored pension plan. On the other hand, retirement age will be the age when retirement begins. So it's an individual decision. Looking at Social Security programs, this slide shows the distribution of statutory retirement age for women by major areas in 2015. And by the way, we choose women, but the report also shows the similar picture for men. So as you can see, there is a quite variety in the eligibility ages for Social Security, and they vary by region, by country, by program, and sometimes even by subpopulation in the program, for example, males versus females. But normally, in addition to the fixed eligibility age, the age when people can receive full benefit, the Social Security program contains features that can induce earlier or late retirement. And such feature can impact the person's behavior even without explicit changes to the eligibility age. The recent trends around the world, there are several of them and that we identified in the report, and one of them is the increasing eligibility age. As an example, 19 OECD countries already have or are scheduled to increase the eligibility age for males at age 60 to age 67 or older. For women, this number is 18. The exception is Israel, that is keeping the lower eligibility age for women. The second trend, and it's probably linked to the first one, is a converging eligibility age for males and females. This is quite a complex topic because males and females have very different type of careers. And unfortunately, still females tend to be more underemployed in years preceding retirement. So when making decisions about increasing the eligibility age for women, it's very important to consider at the same time labor policies. Are we just dumping these people out of labor market and leaving them without income, or the society is doing something to really help women to stay in the workforce till the formally defined eligibility age? Another trend, the popular trend, is elimination or redesign of generous early retirement programs. And the report provides several examples. I think the most notable examples are Denmark and Netherlands that are doing a lot, that were like the countries that first were trying to use the early retirement program as a kind of labor market tool, and recently have been redesigning them a lot since they proved to be quite expensive. Once again, the social security system often offer flexible retirement. So if the program offer early or late retirement, the benefits are usually actuarially adjusted. So they either increased or decreased. And these adjustments very often are labeled as actuarially neutral. But what is really important is not the actuarial neutrality with respect to individual. It's an actuarial neutrality with respect to the pension program. And even more, when you have a social security program which is financed on pay-as-you-go or partially funded basis, this actuarial neutrality for the program can encompass several generations of participants, several cohorts. So it can move very, very far from individual actuarial neutrality. On the other hand, adjustments may provide some incentive for early or late retirement. And as I mentioned, over and over again, the history showed that providing incentive for early retirement can be very dangerous and very expensive because of behavioral component and because of unpredictably high utilization rate of these provisions. Another emerging trend set of provisions is what is used to be called double dipping. That is, starting to receive retirement benefits and at the same time continuing to work. If this type of provisions are properly designed, they can be provided very beneficial for both labor market and social security program. I will quote an example which is close to home, close to me. For example, both Canada Pension Plan and Quebec Pension Plan have so-called working retirement beneficiaries provision. So people take their benefit, say early benefit, they continue to work, but in this case, they are required to continue to contribute to the plan, and in return they accrue additional benefit. But it's structured in a way that in any case it's much more beneficial for the person to wait for the eligibility age to receive an unreduced pension than to retire early and become a working beneficiary. So it kind of give a choice to people without penalizing a program. So going to the employer-sponsored pension plan, and this is mainly applied to defined benefit plans, the eligibility age for such private programs often cluster around the social security age, but they are rarely the same. They're rarely the same. And the reason is that the private pension plans can be used by employers as a human resource and business management tools. For private companies, it's important to induce people to retire exactly on time, not too early, not too late. So depending on the company strategies with respect to using the older workers, the different the eligibility age is defined. And often the pension plans also can be used as a way to save cost and because all the employers are normally more expensive, and also to provide more opportunity to young employers. So as a result, the availability of late retirement in private pension plans is more limited than in social security program. And in some way, this is where we go to in kind of the case when two forces are pulling people in different directions. On one hand, we have social security program and labor market policy, and very often societal policies and aging population that like people to stay in the labor force longer. On the other hand, we have private employer that may send completely different set of signals to people. Sometimes the harmonization between the eligibility ages between tiers of retirement system is desirable. And in some way, the tax tools, as providing some incentives or some subsidies or removing some subsidies, could be quite a good way to go. As once again, Netherlands is a notable example, and more details could be found in the report. So now going to individual, and individual, this is what is important, because these are people who work, these are people who retire, these are people who draw benefits. When people come to make this big decision to retire or not to retire, they ask themselves a set of questions. Do I want to retire? Can I afford to retire? Am I forced to retire? So, do I want to retire? Am I healthy enough to continue working? What is my family situation? Is my spouse retired and putting pressure on me to get out of the labor market? Do I need to care for a member of my family? Do I have aging parents that I need to spend more time with? Will I be bored if I will quit the job? Or probably I'm so fed up with my job, I can't wait to get out of this cursed place. So now, can I afford to retire? Unfortunately, this is a question that is asked more and more in the current situations. Even before, before you accumulated, you have your retirement planning. You accumulate a lump sum of money that you, in a simple way, that you're going to use for your retirement income. But with increasing longevity, with extremely low interest rates, with the low expectation of investment returns, what you have planned to be adequate may all of a sudden you discover that it's not enough to provide you enough income. And the coverage by in several countries, the coverage by private pension plans may be not sufficient, once again, to provide you with the income. So this is a big question. And finally, can I stay employed? This is the big labor market question. You maybe don't want to retire, but you're forced out of retirement. You can't find a job, or you need to change your occupation, and this is not something that you want to do. Or even you can't find any type of job. This slide shows basically illustrates the non-alignment of the official eligibility ages and the age when people exit the labor market. This is a slide from OECD, and these little diamonds represent the official eligibility age, and the blue bars are when the effective age when people exit the labor market. As you can see, the picture, there's quite a lot of discrepancy between expectations when people will exit labor market and when it actually occurs. And of course, it's all depend on the factors that I talked about. It's also depend on the structure of retirement package, what the replacement rate provided by mandatory program, by quasi-mandatory programs. So it's a difficult decision to make when to retire. And now I will I'll pass the mic to Martiza, who will talk about the second chapter, why increase the eligibility age.